All right, all right. What's up, guys? Matt here, Flex Trades. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. The first day of the brand new trading year, 2022. Now with 2021 in the rear view mirror, we can do a little bit of reflecting and self-analysis and set some goals for the future, for the new year. And it's something I do at the end of every year and at the start of every year. And this year being 2022, this is going to be now my 9th year trading. I got started in the markets back in mid 2013, which is kind of crazy. It's already been closing in on a decade of the stock market. That's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's something that I started doing after my second year trading. So not after 2013, not after 2014. I'd say by the end of 2014 into 2015, and definitely by the end of 2015 into 2016, I was definitely doing a more in-depth kind of psychoanalysis into my trading. Kind of, where I was in the previous year, kind of what I did to get to the point where I was at the end of that year going into the following year, you know what I mean? And I've done it since. And it's something that I encourage you guys to do. It's something that I think is healthy for really, any career, any profession. You could be a doctor, lawyer, nurse, you could be a teacher, you could be a professional athlete. It doesn't matter. An accountant, whatever it is, just because I'm talking about trading, you could apply it anywhere. But for me, with trading, in respect to trading in my career and what I've been able to build for myself and what I continue to visualize and see for myself down the road, it's super healthy. It's super motivating to look at where I was a year ago, look where I am now, do a little bit of compare and contrast. And when you do this, you have to look at the good, you have to look at the bad, you have to look at everything in between and give yourself honest feedback, honest analysis, right? There's no coddling yourself. You can't sit and tell yourself that you did things that were right. You can't sit there and say things were okay when they weren't. That you have to be completely open, honest, vulnerable with yourself, and you don't necessarily need to share it with anybody. There's a sense of accountability I find when you do share some of your more lofty goals and ambitions. There's kind of I've had plenty of goals and ambitions and things that I tell people, and I get that crazy look like, man, you're crazy, you're insane. And for me, that's never been unnerving or unsettling, because my favorite goals and my favorite visions that I create for myself are the ones where I tell someone and they look back at me and they give me that look like, bro, you are crazy, you are tripping. And I just think to myself, okay, like, cool. Like, it doesn't matter. So like I said, there's a sense of accountability if you are telling people, but you don't feel like you need to tell people. I've shared publicly before on my Twitter. I've written down some notes and stuff, and I've shared that. I've stopped doing that over the last couple years, just because I like to keep it a little more personal to myself. But it's always the same. It's always the same thing. I sit, I reflect, I write down, my biggest strengths from the last year. What were some of the things that I did the best at? What were some of the areas where I excelled at? And of course, conversely, I write down some of my biggest weaknesses. I sold something too early, or I tripped myself out of a trade entirely. Go down the line, right? You guys know better than I do what your strengths and weaknesses were. And maybe sharing my strengths and sharing some of my weaknesses, maybe that is something that I'm inclined to share with you guys, because I do like that sense of vulnerability and accountability with that. If I shared what some of my strengths were and some of my weaknesses were. There's a lot, I think, that people could learn from that. There's a lot that I could learn from that, right? So that's kind of the idea behind it, right? What I'm good at, maybe put that in the back seat and focus a little bit more on things that I struggled with. Bring that forward, kind of center stage, and focus more of my attention on those weaknesses. And trust me, there's a lot of them. There's still a lot of things in trading that I need to get better at, that I'm going to get better at. And it's just this constant trial and error. You lose, you learn, you lose, you learn again, right? It's just this never repeating, this endless cycle of losing, learning. And as you lose and as you learn, you get a little bit better, right? It's so incremental. It's so systematic. And so many people try to just jump the gun and go straight from point A to point B without realizing that there's a million tiny points that you have to stop by in between. So that's what this reflection process does. It kind of sits you back. It humbles you a little bit. It slows you down. It slows your roll a little bit, right? It is very much a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're trying to sprint your way through this, you're going to exhaust yourself. You're going to burn yourself out. And you're going to look back and think to yourself, why the hell did I not pace myself? Doing this reflection, doing this kind of comparing, contrasting, doing a humble goal setting, all of this is very healthy to maintain that pace, which should be required for those who are trying to make a career out of this, right? So I just wanted to share some of these thoughts with you guys as we hop into the new year, because I mean, last year was just crazy. I mean, 2020 was crazy, but last year was just ridiculous. Last year, I never thought 2020 could be one-upped, and 2021 sure as heck one-upped 2020. But who knows what's in store for 2022, right? No one knows. But it's better to be prepared for anything, and I always enjoy the process of reflecting and looking back and just getting ready, because it's going to be a good year regardless. Whether or not you can't expect this year to outdo last year, right? That's not the expectation. The expectation, however, for me, is expect the unexpected. Take what the market gives me. Don't get ahead of myself. Pace myself. And it's going to be a great year. I think that just about wraps up my thoughts. It's going to be a great year, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I think we have a lot of there's a lot of people who, for last year in 2021, it was their first full year trading. So if this is if you're listening to this right now and that applies to you, like last year being your first year trading, this is a really cool exercise to do. And I think there's a lot that you can get out of it. And plus, you'll look back in a year or 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and you'll look back at those notes and you'll laugh to yourself like, geez, I was shooting for $100 a day, and now I'm shooting for $1,000 a day. That's something that I've noticed through the years. Things like that. The numbers get bigger. The goals get bigger. My verbiage, my language gets better. It gets wiser. You can just see it in my progress through my notes. I look back at my notes from 2014, 2013, and I just laugh at myself. I'm just like, Jesus, I cannot believe I was such a noob. I can't believe I talked like that. I can't believe I thought those things. It's just funny, man. So if nothing else, your takeaway from this, it's just cool to log that stuff and look back through time and see where you were, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Keep track of that progress. Reflecting is so key to building and maintaining. And just remember that, guys. So that's all. That's the video. I hope everybody's off to a great start for the new year, and I wish you guys nothing but success. And let's crush it. Let's keep crushing it, guys. All right, that's it. I'm out. Peace, guys.